Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Touchdown in Paradise. Welcome back to college football season, kicking off this Saturday. I'm Justin.
I'm Russ.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Joe.
And welcome into Touchdown Paradise on the Fins Talk Sports Network. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, as we all say here on YouTube. Guys, what a summer it's been. Russ, how's everything in Florida?
It's good. It's hot as heck down here, but got over. We had a hurricane. We didn't have it. We had a tropical storm, but got hit with 20 inches of rain here in Sarasota a couple weeks ago. Luckily, I think everybody's doing good. I know we got some people on the station down in Miami area. I think everybody's doing good down there. So it's been a while. It's been a hot September. But listen to a little the LSU National Championship hype video before this to get pumped up for the college football season. So pretty stoked.
Oh, man. I think he's going to be turning his back on Arizona this year, boys.
Never.
Not when they're about to join the Big 12. I'm going to call on Bachelor Pad Pete. Looks like he's got a new background over there.
Not so bad.
Dude,
this year.
This is the landlord special right now. It's just all painted white, man. This is how it is, dude. Yeah, I'm having a great summer, just like Saban now that I'm like kind of, I'm single. I don't know what I'm doing right now, dude. I'm trying to figure my life out, man. I'm doing great. I'm jacked for this football season. Notre Dame's going to kill it. But besides them killing it, we got a lot of other huge storylines, I think, that are going to also kill it, including Saban, all these great teams we're going to talk about. But, yeah, I'm a bachelor now. I can watch every dang college football game every week. So expect even better insight from me and not just yelling.
I can't wait. And back to school, Joe. How we doing over there?
Just had first golf practice today. First day of school today. It's been a long day, but ultimately, what's nothing better than talk some college football with the boys?
Fairways and greens, Joe.
Yeah.
Golf
just good living. I spent an hour and a half at golf practice today working on my chips. So, look out! I'm gonna be shooting even at some point.
Tiger Woods PGA Tour 04 legend right here.
Exactly.
Pete was mentioning Nick Saban, and we have to start off the show with none other than the biggest earth-shattering news since realignment that happened just days after the national championship. 6-time national championship winning coach Nick Saban steps away from the game. He's now a correspondent on College Game Day. Pete, since you're the one that brought this up, what is Saban's legacy after all this time?
I think as of now, he's the greatest coach of all time. I mean, he's ran the most consistent dynasty. I mean, almost 2 decades long. Just his personality, his whole vibe, his aura, what he basically took Alabama where they were at, where he's taken them. Compared to other Alabama legendary coaches, he took him to the stratosphere. I mean, he literally put the SEC back on the map. He's made all of these schools a ton of money outside of just Alabama by making Alabama the premier program in the SEC. He's influenced a lot of these TV deals. He's just – I hate him, but dang it, he's good. And he's going to be even better in the booth. This is like watching Brady retire and go to the Fox booth this coming season. It's going to be so exciting to see this. It's already been great, his coverage of the SEC Media Day. He's done some national championship stuff. It's just amazing to see. So I'm excited about it. Just like Brady, I'm going to root for Saban now that he's retired and he has no chance to potentially beat Notre Dame. So I'm excited, man. But easily greatest coach of all time in college football, probably up there with Belichick in general of all of football.
No, absolutely. Let's go around the horn here. Go to Joe. What is something that you'll most remember about Nick Saban long from now?
Oh man, it's funny that you asked me that because I wasn't sure if he said it, and then I looked it up, and I'm still 100, almost 99% sure. I love that saying. I don't give a damn about nothing but the Tide. So it's just what a great line. That's Nick Saban in a nutshell when he was at Alabama. Talk about pure professional. People are going to say what they want to say. People are going to hate, but you got to respect his game. People hate Bill Belichick, like Pete said. But, you still got to respect what he did. I mean, his run, his dynasty is really unmatched. He's up there in, Mount Rushmore with some of the greatest college football coaches ever. I think of the Newt Rockneys of the world. Just you name some of the best. Joe Pa. Pete Carroll, if you want to throw him in there. But still, the run that Nick Saban went on is even more impressive because it wasn't just 1 or 2 years; it was a decade plus. So it's, it's hard to say, if he's really the GOAT. I think he's up there. I think you could definitely argue a lot of different guys, but his legacy will live on. He definitely is one of the best.
And Russ, I'd love to know from you, with Saban's accolades, everything that he's come across, but also in recent years, do you see any potential coach out there that has a chance to even get close to him that's coaching right now?
Too early to tell, Justin. Way too early to tell. This guy's, if he's not the greatest coach of all time, he's the greatest coach of our generation. Hands down. The guy's got 47 total first-round draft picks, 133 total. So, can't really guess on who's going to – we see some good coaches, but, you got a tall mountain to climb. The guy's the greatest of our generation, if not the greatest coach.
Yeah, Russ, you hit that on the nail on the head. If he's not the greatest of all time, he's definitely the greatest of our generation. You can't argue it. I think the only other person I think of in our generation that I think could compete is Pete Carroll, just because of that run SC went on. But that was 3 years. We're talking about, a decade. You can't match that. So, to go off of your question, Justin, it's too early. I think I agree with you, Russ. There's some coaches right now that are young that could do it. But also don't forget, Nick Saban won in 2 colleges. He won at LSU and Alabama. So, it's tough. It'll be tough.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's getting out at the right time too, with the whole NIL thing changing. Besides being the greatest coach, he's probably the greatest recruiter. And I think with the whole NIL situation, whichever coach and school can kind of figure that out and go on a dominant run here the next 5 to 7 years, that's going to set you up to just get recruits coming to you. You don't even got to try. People are trying to go to Alabama that were going to be fifth on the depth chart, and they were still trying to go to Alabama. So I think someone could get there if someone figures out NIL in the next 5 years. They could do it, but it's going to be hard.
The one thing I've always, and this goes for all these great, Jim Harbaugh, Belichick, is Saban. He's a dick. If we're really getting down to it, he's a dick. But he knows he's a dick, and he doesn't care what you think. That's who he is. So I respect it. I respect the guys like I am. I'm a dick. I'm a winner, but this is who I am. I'm not going to change who I am. And you're going to have to deal with it.
Just to jump on that as well. I'm watching the Bears Hard Knocks, and he's talking to the head coach of the Bears. And his knowledge that he's sharing to an NFL coach that he coached, it was pretty eye-opening about his knowledge about how important a quarterback is, how rare that generational quarterback is. His knowledge of not just the game, but what is needed to win the game is almost out of this world. If there's an IQ for sports, for football, he's probably the Albert Einstein or one of them. Again, that's a bold statement. He's the Albert Einstein of college football, but his knowledge on the game is just second to none. And as Russ said, he doesn't care if you like him or not. He does his job, and he does his winning, do his talking.
Now, we have all just great insight here. And the last thing I'll add on this subject is this summer, I personally had a dream where Nick Saban was my next door neighbor here in Hermosa. And I thought for a second, I grew up not liking him because of his dominance. But that's really the only reason. Because you look at the guy on TV, he's fantastic. You look at the guy as a coach and as a recruiter and as a person, and you'll find one of the most inspiring, magnetic, knowledgeable leaders that you'll ever find in our sport. And I was just so in awe that he was living next to me, and I could go over there anytime for a great leadership lesson. I've never personally talked to Saban. I can't speak to the exact kind of personality he might be if I were in a one-on-one conversation. But from everything that I've gathered, the players love him. They'll revere their time at Alabama or LSU or Michigan State or Toledo and everywhere else he's been because of him. And it's just going to be great to see him on College Game Day. I can't wait to see how he contributes to the panel. He's been great in the past. Now he's a mainstay. He's got some big expectations on camera to live up to now. But we're going to move on here because outside of Saban, it caused a domino effect. We have a lot of coaching changes thanks to his retirement. A little bit off script before that, Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. Sharon Moore replaces him. As you know, he was the interim coach while he was suspended last year for about 6 games. But back to the Saban domino effect, we have Kalen DeBoer going to Alabama from Washington. Because of him, Jed Fish leaves Arizona to go to Washington to replace him. Because of that, Brent Brennan from San Jose State goes to replace him at Arizona. On top of that, we have a couple other notables. Manny Diaz to Duke. Jonathan Smith goes from Oregon State to Michigan State. Jeff Levy from Oklahoma to Mississippi State. Mike Elko, your guys, Pete, Joe, over to Texas A&M. Willie Fritz to Houston. So looking at all these, let's start with Russ here. Who do you think is going to have the biggest impact at their new school?
Impact? I mean, at the end of the day, I think Kalen DeBoer is. I think he's probably going to have a rough time right off the bat, just trying to fill in for Saban. And honestly, you know, I root for that guy everywhere he goes, knowing his story. I mean, knowing the guy worked his ass off just to get where he is. But, I mean, I think if you give him the time, he can have the biggest impact. Maybe it doesn't work out because we see a lot of guys trying to replace a legend. The next man up doesn't work out. So I really hope it does work out. And I think if you give him the tools, he will have the biggest impact, but we shall see.
Let's go down the line here. Pete.
Yeah, I think obviously Michigan's not going to be who they were. Alabama, you can't recreate what they were with Saban. I mean, he's already come in and kind of changed. I saw some photos. He changed Saban's entire office and everything. He's already changing everything, which makes sense because you're a brand new coach. But I'm definitely probably most excited to see that. I think Elko at A&M is going to be huge. Just basically with all the money that they have and a better coach in him than Jimbo, I think that's going to be huge. Now, Notre Dame's still going to beat them. Week 1, we're going to beat them. But I think that culture, that vibe there, what he's going to bring to the table, to me, I think that's going to probably be the most game-changing. It'd be tough to say who's game-changing long-term versus just like one season, these coaches coming in, you know. But I'm really looking forward to that one with Elko.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the list, I mean, I think all of these coaches have interesting stories. I think, you know, I look at 2 different things. Sharon Moore and Kalen DeBoer, I think they're walking into massive expectations. And really, can they you know, achieve them? My answer would probably be no. I think Caleb DeBoer will probably be more successful than Sharon Moore. I think, honestly, yeah, Sharon Moore is a systems guy. He's just going to follow Jim Harbaugh. But Michigan lost a lot of people. You know, are they going to be that good? That I think what they're ranked 6, 7. I mean, I think they're a bit overrated in my opinion. Kalen DeBoer just has the talent. I mean, as Pete was saying, you know, Alabama was recruiting people. It was a machine. You know, talent, 5 stars were coming in. And I mean, looking at their recruiting class this year, it's more of the same. Will he be able to kind of continue that trend that Saban was able to really create? I don't know. I'm with Russ, though. I'm cheering for him. I hope he does well. And then, again, going off of what Pete said, I think the one that's going to be the most impactful right off the bat is Elko because Jimbo destroyed Texas A&M. That culture was defeated. I mean, really the only thing that Texas A&M had was the money that they were throwing to kick him out the door. But I'm also interested to see how Jed Fish does at Washington. I mean, I think ultimately, Jed Fish had a great year at Arizona last year, and he's taking, in my opinion, a step up at Washington. Sorry, Russ. but it'll be interesting to see if he can carry that on at Washington in a very competitive Big Ten. So, I think they're all interesting storylines that I look forward to seeing as it plays out this year.
All great points of view. I love it. Last thing I'll say on this, I'll close this out, is keep an eye on Jeff Lebby to Mississippi State. Now, maybe I'm a little bit biased because he was UCF's offensive coordinator a couple years, but look what he did at Oklahoma. Look what I believe he actually made a stop at Ole Miss in between these jobs. And seeing the vertical passing attack that he puts in there, that air raid, Mike Leach type style offense. And we know Mike Leach, rest in peace, God rest his soul, his last job was Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby's a young guy who's learned that same air raid system. This could be the time where maybe they take a turn and finally find a new ceiling for this program, especially with Saban being gone and the SEC a little more up in the air, sans Georgia.
The SEC is much deeper, though, this year, Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, we'll see. It's a new conference, and we've seen how teams can jump from conference to conference and struggle the first year. But I'm curious. Now, before we move into our parlay picks for this week 0, we're going to check in on the ACC lawsuit. I know we all love this whole story, right? So just to fill everybody in, last season we saw Florida State go undefeated 13-0, lose their quarterback during Cupcake Week before their big rivalry game with Florida, and unfortunately was left out of the college football playoff. Now, with all that came a big, we're so angry. We don't like this. Florida State is now suing the ACC to get out of their grant of rights, and Clemson has decided to join them. Now, per the ESPN report, Florida State filed its lawsuit in December, alleged chronic fiduciary mismanagement and bad faith, contending the former commissioner of the ACC, John Swofford, insisted in conversations with potential bidders for ACC media rights in 2010 that Raycom Sports be included in any new deals signed by the ACC. Now, the grant of rights here is the issue, meaning that if any school exits the ACC before the media deal expires, I believe it's 2033, 2034, that school will personally owe $140 million, which is, by the way, 3 times the conference's operating budget. The ACC wants to enforce that payment no matter what, but Florida State is arguing that the league can't because the cost is unconscionable, per the Tampa Bay Times. Joe, let's start with you here. Is Florida State right for doing this? First off, is Clemson right for joining them in on this? And what is the future of the ACC?
Well, I think that's really the next big question in the conference reshuffle is what does happen to the ACC. They picked up Cal, they picked up Stanford. Not really not a big addition in compared to SEC picked up Texas, Oklahoma, and others. And the Big Ten picked up a bunch of former Pac-12 schools. I think that's really the real question. What does the ACC do to stay relevant? To your question, Justin, I don't think Florida State does. I mean, they signed a contract. And I mean, if you want to break that contract, you're going to have to pay for it. Look at Jimbo Fisher in Texas A&M. They wanted him gone, so they paid and he walked. I ultimately think that's the same thing. Can Florida State and Clemson afford it? Yes. I mean, they really could because the money they would make from going from the ACC to the SEC would probably pay most of that. But really, I don't think they have really the right to complain that, $140 million is too much, too expensive for them to leave. I mean, you should have read the fine print.
Exactly. You signed it, dude. Like, if you had a problem with it, I mean, did they not get their lawyers to take a look at the deal? Like, are they stupid? Like, yeah, no, you got to stick in it. You might be happy. You might be pissed. You're seeing all this other money come in with ESPN and ABC getting the SEC away from CBS, all these streaming platforms coming in, as well as in the NFL, all the money that's getting thrown around. They're mad that they're not getting the best deal out there. They're mad that they didn't make it to the top 4 last year. I get it. You can be mad, but you signed the deal. So either put the money up and get out or shut up.
Russ, chime in.
Yeah, I think that's 2 good points, Pete and Joe. It's just, I mean, they're in a lose-lose situation. I mean, ACC is going to lose big, though, if Clemson and Florida State walked too, though. I mean, we're talking college football; those have been the best two teams in the ACC in the last 10 years. So that'd be a big loss. So, but I mean, I don't see a way they get in out of it unless they just want to pay the 140 and leave. But does the SEC want Florida State? Does Florida want in-conference rival right up the road in Tallahassee? So I don't see any way of them getting out of it, and I don't see how. I don't think the SEC wants them. So I think they're just kind of stuck.
I've seen some reports that the SEC and Big Ten said they're done expanding. So the Big 12, I've heard, is open for business. Would they accept a Big 12 invite and not go independent? That remains to be seen. Because, well, if you've seen the way that the Big 12 has been aggressive, and with their new leadership, there could be some big business going down here. There's already reports, too, that they're going to consider naming rights for the conference. I'm excited to see how that might shift things and how much more money influx that can mean for a new TV deal. But now we're going to go ahead and go into the parlay picks. I know you guys love this part. Now, it is week 0. We don't have the biggest slate of games, but we've got 4 decent ones here. Starting off with Delaware State at Hawaii. Delaware State makes that long half the world trip all the way to the Rainbow Warriors Stadium over there. Hawaii is a 39-point favorite here. 57.5 over under. And if I could just double check, oh, that's right. There is no money line, interestingly enough, listed on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. So we'll just pick between those two. Who'd like to go first today?
I'll go first.
Let's go.
The first thing I looked up earlier was this game. And I was just going to say, Hawaii, because Colt Brennan legend, RIP. But Delaware State missed the flight to Hawaii, like today.
Oh,
they missed their flight. So, I mean, that's already a bad start. So I think they're doomed. So I'm going to take Hawaii to cover every single thing in the parlay mix. Okay. Everything.
Okay. Hawaii by forfeit. Joe.
Yeah. 39 points. That's massive. I'm staying away from that. I mean, I know probably Hawaii is going to do it. I mean, and now hearing that the Delaware State missed their Allegiant flight or Spirit Air or something like that. Yeah, so they may have to take a bus to LA and fly from there or something. But I just figured take the over. Hawaii is going to put up points, and obviously the money line. There's a reason why there's no money line. It's pretty obvious Hawaii is going to win.
I'm just going to make this quick here. Go with my pick. This is my version of the Lee Corso headgear. I'm going to get laid, y'all. Hawaii.
Here we go.
Hawaii
Let's
big.
go.
Let's go, Russ.
I mean, you said Spirit. They probably had like a $10 to $25 fee for each player to pay, and they didn't pay it. So that's why they missed their flight. I'm just with you. I'll go Hawaii money line covered. I mean, 39 points if they make it. That's a lot. Yeah, so I'll probably stay away from that.
By the way, Russ, just let the record show that I'm going with the over.
This year I'm out. Yeah.
Wait, you're not keeping track anymore?
No, I got other work to do. So it's all you guys. Whoever wants it's got it.
Okay, we'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
Moving right along here, SMU going to Nevada, headed to the desert to take on the Wolfpack. SMU is a big road favorite, minus 25 spread. Over-unders 56. SMU minus 2,100. Nevada plus 1,100. Let's go Russ this time.
Let's go SMU to get the win. Shit, I don't know either of these teams. Just whatever, hit the over. And let's say Nevada covers.
Oh, I like it. SMU will win, but I'm going to pick Nevada with the spread. I'll take the under. I'll take the ponies to win. Let's go with Joe.
Well, we don't have to worry about them missing their Spirit Air flight. Spirit Air, if you want to sponsor us, we'd love a sponsor. But I'm going to take Nevada plus 25. Yeah, that's a lot of points. I'm going to take the over because I know SMU can score a lot. Bring back the Pony Express, and I'm going to take the money line SMU.
Petey.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing, Joe. Nevada's got a new coach this year, but the last 12 openers, they're 2-10, so they're not going to win this one. But I think it's going to be a little close just because SMU has to travel, and that's a lot of points. So same thing as Joe. SMU to win over, but Nevada covers at home.
By the way, just for future sponsorship, if we're talking SMU, that means we're talking Dallas, which means we're talking Southwest or American.
American Airlines, baby. Let's go.
We'd love a sponsor.
Montana State at New Mexico, the FCS powerhouse. Montana State Bobcats, minus 11 favorite here on the road in the desert. Over under here is 54. Money line, Montana State minus 455. New Mexico plus 350. Starting with Joe.
Oh man, I'm going to go with the home team here. I mean, I know the New Mexico's the Lobos, correct? I'm not wrong here.
Yeah,
I mean, New Mexico's the Lobos.
I'm just going to take, I'm going to take the home team, so I'm going to take them to cover. I'm going to take the under because really I don't know either team, and I'm going to assume it's going to be sloppy week 0. But I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to take the home team, New Mexico, to beat Montana State.
Well, that's a good pick, as Lee Corso would say. Russ.
Yeah, I'll go with New Mexico to win. Let's just get a little FBS. I think Montana State's going to cover. I think they're a good football team. Just obviously don't have the facilities to move up, but I think they cover. And FBS teams usually play pretty good in these games, so they'll cover. And I'll take the under.
I'll go with a favorite here. Montana State is a very good team. They always compete for the title. I will take them to cover. I'll go with the over, and I will take the money line here. Montana State. Pete.
Nice, Justin. Yeah, I mean, Montana State on the road is favored. So for that reason, I got a gut feeling Montana State's going to win. I think they're also going to cover, but I will take the under. I could see this being like a 30-17 game or something.
Clarification, I misread. If I said Montana State's covering, obviously I got them to win. So let's go Grizzlies. I think they're the Grizzlies.
That's
I
Montana.
thought I misheard you.
Montana State's
Bobcats.
I should know this, but
Yeah, didn't you go to school in North Dakota?
They're the Bobcats, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Yes, crazy Russ going up from this area in the South Bay to North Dakota.
You guys, I mean, I've traveled in North Dakota, lived in North Dakota. I've lived in New Mexico, Florida, Tennessee, California. What's the next state I'm in?
South Dakota.
Puerto Rico.
I'd be down for that one, Justin. I'd be down for that one. I like the way you think.
Do you know Spanish? Espanol?
Not enough, but we're working on it here. We're working on our dance moves here too, Justin.
You got to know Spanish to go to Miami, Russ. I mean, come on now.
I stay away from Miami.
Whew.
It's a little too much on all the time.
It's all the crypto bros that moved down from New York.
Crypto bros, you want to sponsor us too? Sponsor us.
Yes, game of the week here, staying within the state of Florida somewhat here, but Florida State's on the road. Number 10, Florida State at Georgia Tech. FSU's a 10.5-point favorite. Over under is 55.5. FSU minus 440. Georgia Tech plus 340. I'm going to go ahead and start here. Florida State. Boy, what do we have here? Your fans would not shut up on X all summer, just like we didn't shut up in 2018 after going undefeated. We get it. We're pissed. You're pissed. Now it's about time to show, was it all real or was it just a facade? Can you do it again with a real and true fair playoff system this time? The road to glory starts here. Florida State covers and wins. Money line, spread, taking it. Going with the under, though. I'm not sure if DJ Uiagalelei is going to be in the rhythm in Mike Norvell's system just yet. So this is going to be a closer one, but I'll still take Florida State to cover. Let's go with Petey.
Yeah, this game's a little unique because Georgia Tech's won 7 in a row, but they've also covered, or they're 7-2 in covering the spread on their last 9 away games. Both of them are away. They're playing in Dublin. So, to me, if this was a Florida State home game, I would say Florida State 1,000%. But after all this chitter chatter and to start your season against a not easy opponent in a whole nother country, yeah, I don't know. I think Georgia Tech's going to cover. I think Florida State's going to win. I could see this going under, but I think it's barely going to hit the over. To me, it's going to be a lackluster type win. Obviously not a coming out statement like, hey, we're going to drop 60 on them and say, yeah, we really should have been in it. I just think it's going to be kind of whatever, mainly because they're not at home. They're both in another country. So that's what I'm going with. Oh, and so barely hit the over is what I'm thinking.
Russ.
Yeah, I got Florida State winning. I'm going to hit – should we do a push, Justin, on 55.5?
You're never going to let me live that
No,
down.
no. Hell no. I think the under hits. And I think Pete convinced me on – I say they win by 9.5. Florida State does. So that Georgia Tech will cover. Good job, Pete.
Which direction?
I just think. Yeah, let's see it, Joe. Let's hear it.
Well, talk about what a random pair of two teams are in Ireland. Like, I mean, I know Notre Dame was there last year, fine, but Boston College.
That's what I'm saying. Get somewhat Irish related or something,
like,
some Catholic vibes.
There's a little Catholicism there. Come on.
You know, Florida State, Georgia Tech. All right, sure. You know, get the Irish to love some American football.
Hey, Joe, I do want to throw in, they don't call it Tallahassee for no reason, so they might fit in pretty good in Ireland.
They better like their Guinness. That's all I got to say. Not no Bush Bavarian. But, yeah, so I'm going to take the over. I'm taking Florida State. And I'm now I wrote down Florida State with the points. But then I did a little research while others were talking, and Pete gave some great points. And then I just realized the last game that Georgia Tech played was the Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl against Justin's UCF and just blew them out. Sorry, Justin. So, and they played a lot of close games. They played Georgia close last year. They played Boston College close, Louisville close.
They found a way to win that Miami game. We remember that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to change I'm going to give them, I'm going to say it's close. I'm going to say it's changing Georgia Tech. I'm going to do a Russ here and change the plus 10.5. Yep. I just think it's a travel for both of them. I think it's a weird game. Does DJ Uiagalelei gel in the system right away? We'll keep it close. I think we'll keep it close. But Florida's still winning. They're on a mission.
One note about that Gasparilla Bowl, it was more of a personal vendetta from head coach Brent Key, who was supposed to take over the UCF job when George O'Leary hinted at retirement in 2014. And when O'Leary the next year stayed, went winless, and then got ousted, they did not choose Brent Key. So he clearly had some sort of payback for UCF in his back pocket there. That was a little extra motivation in that bowl game. And it sucks too, but good luck. Good luck, Georgia Tech. Brent Key, wishing you all the best.
It's also a bowl game where probably half of the team didn't even play.
That's right. Or what is it the SEC says? We weren't motivated. It's a bowl game. It's a meaningless bowl game. Our players don't care about this. It's not a championship. But moving into that, predictions. Well, boys, it's here. A decade later, we finally have a 12-team college football playoff. And boy, is it glorious if you've seen that schedule already. So here are the rules. The Power Four conferences champions are all going to get the top 4 spots and a bye week. The next 7 highest ranked teams will get in, and the highest ranked group of 5 team gets an automatic bid. So it's going to be a battle out down there for that one coveted spot. So I want to hear from all of us here, who do we think are going to be the big 4 champions? It's strange to say that because the Pac is no longer a thing. Starting with the ACC and starting with Pete, let's hear who is going to represent the ACC in the college football playoff as the champion?
I just talked about Florida State having a close game against Georgia Tech. But I think they're going to represent. I'm not a believer in Dabo. Well, I never was. I hate the guy. But I just don't see them being better than Florida State this year. So to me, it's going to be Florida State. I think they're going to have some up and down certain games. But at the same time, like, you're not going to have the same pressure, whereas if you lose one game, you're out. You can still get in. So I think because of that, they might play a little bit more loose. They might I think they'll just play better, to be honest with you. So I'm taking Florida State.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really a toss-up between Clemson and Florida State. I'm just gonna I'll just do the opposite. I'm gonna just say Clemson. I think Dabo has a lot to prove. I think honestly, he's starting to get on the hot seat, even though he has several national championships, but he hasn't had one in a couple of years. So I think it's kind of you need to start performing again. You need to turn this team around. I think they have a system. But I would not be surprised to see Florida State there either. But I'll be the opposite. I'll do Clemson.
Hey, $10 to $15 million a year. He's got to start winning.
Why don't you go, Justin?
I went really back and forth on this because along with Saban retiring and the SEC being a little bit more up in the air, let's talk about the ACC for a second and how up in the air that could be. I mean, Florida State does not have all the same players from last year. They may still be a formidable team. Clemson, we could give them the benefit of the doubt because of the veteran team they're bringing back, especially with Cade returning as the quarterback. But then we look at a couple dark horses that could be there. What about North Carolina? I know they lost Drake May, but it's still Mac Brown. He's still a Hall of Fame head coach. They could still be very competitive. If Pitt rebounds, there's them. With Cam Ward transferring to Miami, can Miami finally get over the hump of the ACC championship that's eluded them since they left the Big East? For now, I'll put Florida State there just as like the benefactor of all this. But just keep an eye. It could be a very interesting conference, or it could be the most boring conference based on the last couple of years. Now, Russ, let's hear from you.
All right. Well, I don't do this much, being a diehard New York Jets fan. But my pick to win the ACC, I'm going with the U. Miami's going to win it. All right. They lost 5 games last year by less than 9. You add Cam Ward, you add Damian Martinez. I mean, if Cristobal can clean up those mistakes, they're going to win it.
Going with the U. All right. I love it.
Good pick, Russ. I think they probably have the highest ceiling, like, wild card. So, I mean, they could do it.
I mean, you add Cam Ward. I think like Justin said, it's kind of a toss-up. But, I mean, you lose so many close games like that, I think it's bound to hit.
Like we just said, Miami, Georgia Tech, you don't lose that game without those bonehead decisions. You cut those out. You clean it up. Miami is a much different team record-wise last year.
And don't sleep on Louisville either. They were kind of a surprise team. Ross, what did you say?
They only lost by 7 to Florida State last year in Tallahassee, so they'll be in Miami. I know playing a home game in Miami is not that big of a home field advantage, knowing because I've looked at some Miami tickets and you can get a nice seat for $28 there, but it's still a home game.
But the advantage is you're not playing at Florida State.
You're not traveling all the way across the state, so that is a plus.
I just hope someday they build an on-campus stadium or somewhere closer that's not an NFL stadium. I mean, for real, every time I grew up loving the Miami Hurricanes before I went to UCF, and just seeing this NFL stadium that's half empty at least every single time, it just doesn't feel like college football. And it makes me so angry to see this. Hey, come on, Miami politicians, with how much money, how many people have moved to South Florida over the last 4 years? You've got to have some sort of taxpayer money that's right there and able to build some sort of stadium closer to Miami that's better than an NFL stadium, suited for this team, that they can turn into their new stomping grounds like they did the Orange Bowl. Bring back greatness to the U again. That's when college football was so awesome to watch, early 2000s. You had Miami running things, Oklahoma running things. Let's not forget USC running things, a hot Texas team, Florida. Where is the Sunshine State in the mix? Let's get them back in the mix.
come on, and Miami. If I'll throw in a little politics, Florida. I'm not saying we yet because I've only been here a full year, so I really can't say we. But Florida broke the tourism record this year. So can we throw a little of that money, maybe get Miami a stadium on campus?
Well, I mean, Jesus, they charge enough to the students. They should be able just to build one off the students' tuition.
And are you telling me that some of those big name athletes that went to the U won't dish out some cash if it means that they're going to get a stadium on campus or close by? I mean, come on now. Michael Irving, Greg Olson, Warren Sapp. I mean, just keep it going. Like, they can't shell out some cash.
Yeah, 7-4 boys.
And not to mention, too, that same tourism tax is now funding the upgrades to UCF Stadium. So there's plenty available. Come on, Miami. Well, I know you're a private school, so never mind everything that I just said. I'm sorry, Miami. Figure it out. Okay, moving on here to the Big Ten. The Big Ten's got 4 new faces from the old Pac-12. USC, Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. How does that tilt the entire power of this conference? Well, I think it leans it out west a little bit more. I mean, what are your thoughts there, Joe?
I mean, it's probably my favorite conference, to be honest. I mean, I like the SEC. I like that they added Texas, and I like that they added Oklahoma. But really, the Big Ten adds some interesting new dynamics in adding an SC or an Oregon, even a Washington, that I think makes it a little bit more interesting. And this one was kind of just, I'm going to just throw it in the hat and call someone. And, our write-up, I saw 2 of us had the same pick, so I went away from that. So I'm just going to go with a true Big Ten guy, and I'm going to go OHIO. Going to school in Ohio, got a lot of Ohio State friends. And, hearing them talk at the lake, even if we were a couple cases deep, they think this is their year. They feel like that team is loaded and stacked. They have a better quarterback that they didn't have last year. Most of their defense returned. Their offense just reloaded, probably even deeper than at wide receiver than they were last year, even though they had Marvin Harrison Jr. I say, it's Ohio State's to lose. And they have one game that Ryan Day needs to win at the end of the season that he has not won in 3 years. So I know he has a tough road coming, throughout the season, but that is the one that he must win.
Emphasis on the Midwest here. Pete, you being from the Midwest Chicago, I bet you have a bunch of Ohio State friends too. So tell me what that might be about. What are they seeing?
Well, I mean, they think they're going to win. Ohio State thinks they're going to win every year. I mean, they're just delusional. It is what it is. Most fan bases are, I mean, except for ours. That's, yeah, to be honest with you, like, I look at this like now the Big Ten and the Pac-12, whatever, they're now playing the type of schedule that Notre Dame plays every year, where they go out west or that team comes back to the Midwest. Like, I am so excited for this because of the travel, because of the different regions. I mean, Texas joined the SEC. That's a damn state away, like that's not that big of a deal. You really got teams from the West Coast coming and playing. I don't know all the schedules, but sometimes in the winter, those teams actually, instead of having a home game maybe in November, they get to go play SC out west. Like, that's huge. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the travel. I think it's going to be great for the kids. I think they're all going to enjoy it. I think those 2 conferences kind of combining a little bit has probably been the most beneficial for the players, at least on their lifestyle and stuff. So I'm really excited, man. I think Oregon's going to win. I think the combination between Dan Lanning and Dylan Gabriel, he's just going to lift him up higher than what Gabriel was last year. I mean, Dan Lanning is an amazing coach. So I'm jacked to see Oregon win the Big Ten. Do I think a couple things could go wrong and Ohio State could possibly win? Sure. But I don't think Michigan's going to win. I don't think Lincoln Riley is going to win at USC. I like them, but I just don't think they're better than Oregon. So I'm taking Oregon.
I'm going to join Pete on that Oregon train. This, I think, is the year. Ducks fans, you've been waiting your whole lives for this. This is the year. I'm picking you to win it all. 10 years ago, you lost to Ohio State. Now you get to potentially play them not once, not twice, but possibly 3 times in this new format. If you meet in Eugene, which you will, if you meet in the Big Ten championship game, big possibility. And then again, one more time, maybe in the national championship, maybe earlier in the college football playoff. We'll have to see. But that's what I'm most excited about this new Big Ten, is the potential to see maybe this rivalry grow a bit more. 2 teams that can clearly out-recruit each other, out-recruit the entire conference. It's going to be exciting. Dillon Gabriel, being a former UCF guy, he's now the favorite to win the Heisman, which I find very fascinating, very interesting. He's grown a lot as a player since then. And don't forget, too, behind him, they also stole a guy from UCLA and Dante Moore to back him up. That could be huge as well. If Gabriel, God forbid, goes down with injury, Dante Moore, he's a player. He can sling that thing. And then over there in Ohio State, you've got Will Howard, who came over from Kansas State. But let's not forget, you also have Aaron Nolan now. So if, for any reason, Will Howard goes down with injury, you've got the future right there, potentially, Aaron Nolan. I don't know if he's going to pan out. Everything says he will. I'm excited to see him start potentially next year.
The other quarterback the Ohio State has is Julian Sayin from Calabasas, California, who was a 5-star who was at Alabama and then transferred to Ohio State this offseason as a incoming freshman. Ohio State at the quarterback room is night and day from last year, so definitely will be interesting.
Russ, let's hear from you.
Well, I mean, it's easy to talk about how Dillon Gabriel matured when he's the Van Wilder of our age. What has he been in college for 7 years? So, from a, 18, 19-year-old guy at UCF, now he's like 24, 25, so it's easy. I'm going Ohio State to win, and I'm with Joe, but I don't care if Ryan Day beats Michigan. If they don't win the Big Ten this year, you can kiss him goodbye. Yeah, he's got the projected roster for Ohio State this year is $20 million. So he better win the Big Ten. If he doesn't, Ryan Day is out of a job.
Well, it'd just be bad money management by the organization if they allow him to squander that. So, yeah, you got to get rid of him, dude. Like, you have to.
Well, and don't forget as well that Ohio State also took from Alabama probably one of the best safeties in Caleb Downs, who was a freshman, who was now a sophomore, who I've only seen and heard from my friends from Ohio that he's only gotten better. And it's like I'm pretty sure he was a freshman All-American. So it's like, and he's only getting better. That defense is stacked. So again, he has to win. I agree with Russ. It's not just the Michigan game. He has to win the Big Ten this year. But I think that runs through Oregon, and I think that runs through Michigan.
Russ turning up the heat, the pressure out there in Columbus on Ryan Day. But now we're going to stop here and move on to what I think could be the most fun conference from top to bottom, just because of the sheer competition and the amount of blowouts we're going to see this year in the Big 12. From top to bottom, just about every team in this conference has the potential to score 50 points every week. And that's always been my favorite part of watching the Big 12. Now, that being said, am I going to be a homer and pick UCF to win this year? I'm not going to jinx it. I'm going to stay away from there because I think there's another team that's long awaited for this moment for Texas and Oklahoma to be gone and to have the right guy in place in Lance Leipold. And that is the Kansas Jayhawks, who I'm picking as the conference championship in football. Yes, in football, Kansas Jayhawks, champions of the conference. I cannot believe I just said those words, but it's going to happen. Book it. Russ.
Well, we have a lot of homers on this podcast. I mean,
Come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be a homer right now, first time. I'm going bear down, baby. Arizona winning the Big 12, all right? We got Noah Fafita coming back. We got, I don't know how to say his first name, McMillan, a wide receiver. He obviously easily could be the best wide receiver in college football, preseason All-American. So let's go. I think Big 12 is going to come to Tucson.
Petey.
Yeah, Russ, that's a good pick. I actually thought about maybe doing that simply just based on how Fafita played last year and that he's coming back. This is a tough one, man. I want to go with Cam Rising in Utah just because he's been in college since 2018. He's been hurt every year, and this would be like a sick way to go out and win it when you're in the Big 12. I just think that'd be dope. But I do think K-State can also possibly win it. As of now, I'm going to go Utah just because Cam Rising. He's rising out of the ashes like a phoenix. He's going to take it down. But my pick could change week 2.
Joe.
Well, before I give my pick, we have a perfect name for a potential bowl game if they don't make it to the College Football Fame. The Van Wilder Bowl.
Yes.
Oregon versus Utah with the old man quarterbacks. Love it. Want to see it. Make it a pay-per-view. I don't care. It'll be great. But no, I'm with you, Pete. I have Utah. I think, again, seasoned quarterback, one. Seasoned coach, Whittingham, however you say his last name, has been there for ages. And he just has a system. He's probably the one team that probably won't average 50 points a game in the Big 12, but his defense is going to shut down offenses. He did it in the Pac-12. He shut down SC. He shut down Oregon. I'm not overlooking Utah. They've played some big offenses and know how to stop them. I think, it's interesting that we talked Oregon in the Big 10, and now we're talking about some other Pac-12 teams that are now going in the Big 12. I kind of miss the Pac-12. The Pac-12 would have been loaded again. But, oh well, go Utes.
Russ, I want you to circle a certain date on the calendar.
Yeah, Justin, I already got it. I'm already looking at tickets for that game, Justin. That's what I was doing right before this was I got my sister who got married in April, her husband, her family lives in Orlando, and he went to my brother-in-law's sister's husband went to UCF. Struggling a little bit right now.
Twice removed.
Yeah, so
my brother's sister
in Orlando. So I already circled it, Justin. Was it October 17th? No, November 2nd. November 2nd.
He's still struggling. It's November 2nd.
Yeah, November 2nd. I'm a little all over the place right now, but don't.
What are those tickets going for?
Yeah,
I saw that the lowest ticket was $17.
Okay, what's the flight?
$7. That's $7 more expensive than the airline flight on Spirit.
Yeah,
Spirit sponsor us to go watch that game live.
Yes, moving along. I'm excited for the Big 12 this year. Coming down to the SEC now, we have a new couple players in this conference, Texas and Oklahoma. But I'm going to go with the Bulldogs of Georgia. They return a bunch of starters, including their quarterback. We'll see if Texas and Oklahoma adjust fairly quickly in their transition to the new conference. We've seen schools thrive right away. We've seen schools struggle right away. I'm more on the bandwagon that Oklahoma's going to struggle. Texas will do fine the first year. But I just feel like Georgia's ready to contend right now, and they're just a hair better than Texas. So give me the Bulldogs. Pete.
Yeah, same thing. There's really no analysis here. I think Texas is going to do good. I think Texas A&M is going to have a turnaround year. I just think, Kirby Smart and what he's got going on in Georgia, track record based on the past 5 years, I can't root against him. So I'm going Georgia.
Russ.
All right. So, I like both your picks. I was leaning Georgia, but I'm going to go with Texas. Tex, not UT, Tex. All right. There's one UT in the SEC, and that's University of Tennessee. All right. So I'm going with Texas. The reason why is Georgia has been predicted to win the SEC, and since 1992, there's only been 9 times that the predicted winner of the SEC has won. So I'm going with Texas. My dark horse is Missouri.
Yeah, Texas be like, this conference ain't big enough for 2 of us. Orange UTs. Joe.
Texas is burnt orange, a little different than that phosphorescent, bright Tennessee orange.
Yeah.
But, hey, I like Rocky Top. Knoxville is a great town. But I'm with you, Russ. Go Horns. Again, I just think Georgia has a lot coming back. Texas has a lot coming back. I look at then the quarterback, and I just think Ewers more experience, a little more dynamic. I think Georgia losing Bowers, which was the safety net, even though he was out quite a bit last year. You lose a weapon like that, it's hard to replace, even though Georgia does great at recruiting. I think ultimately I then ask, okay, who puts up more points? And I think Texas puts up more points than Georgia does, but I think you could go either way. And like what you said, Justin, it'll be interesting to see how they do. Same with Oklahoma, because SEC, as we know, is a much different conference. Again, I would not also be surprised to see Alabama there. I mean, even though they have a new coach, it's not named Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer took Washington there, and they have a lot of guys returning, and the recruiting class. Again, you have that much talent, and you have that potent of an offense, you can win any game.
Love it. We're going to speed through. We're running out of time here to the Group of 5 champion. Let's start off with Pete here.
Yeah, so this Group of 5, I was thinking Memphis. I thought maybe Liberty or Tulane. I was kind of doing a deep dive in here. A lot of these teams, Jesus, I don't watch nearly as much, but I think Memphis is going to have a good year, and I think they got a real shot at winning it. Time will tell, but that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, is on the Memphis side. Memphis Tigers, baby. Let's go.
Ooh, Memphis, hated rival UCF, even though we dominated them for most of our history. I'll go with Liberty. I still think that Jamie Chadwell's got a formidable team. They did not do well against Oregon. They were clearly overmatched in that bowl game, but that doesn't mean that they can't bounce back and go undefeated again this year and then get right back to the real playoff. Joe.
Yeah, this one was just kind of a roll of the dice for me. I think in the G5, you can be almost anyone. But I'm going Green Wave. I'm going Tulane. I feel like they're always kind of there. They just kind of stick around. They play good games. They beat big teams. Like last year, they beat Ole Miss. They beat Ole Miss. So, I think they could do it again, but we'll see.
No, they lost Ole Miss.
That was a close game, right?
For a little bit.
Yeah.
But what? Pratt was out.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Russ,
still close game.
Quick, I'm going with Boise State.
Okay, we're all over the place here. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, last things here on the agenda. Quick rundown of games we're excited for this year. I'll start off Ohio State, Oregon, Eugene. Book it. That'll be the game of the year. And personally, UCF, Florida at the Swamp. I'm looking at tickets right now. Russ, I'll see you there. Let's go with you next.
Oh, expensive. Those aren't cheap tickets.
So tell us, Russ, what are you looking forward to?
Obviously, just college football being back. Texas, Michigan, week 1. Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Texas. A couple big Arizona games, but I mean, college football's back, so I'm just jacked either way.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great games throughout the season, so I'm going to just narrow week 0, week 1. Notre Dame, Texas A&M at Texas A&M. That's the primetime game, week 1. USC, LSU in Vegas. Was trying to get tickets for that game. Think that's going to be a pretty exciting game. And then also Florida, Miami, and I believe that's at Florida. So that should be a fun game too, because that's an old school rivalry that hasn't really been very frequent either. So we'll see.
And Petey, close us out here.
Oh, I think he's frozen.
Oh, he closed.
He put week 0, Florida State, Georgia Tech, week 1, Notre Dame, Texas A&M.
Thank you. Okay, and for our cheers of the week to close out the show, first off, shout out from me, big cheer to Altaview Hospital in Salt Lake City. This summer, I went to a wedding in Salt Lake City, and unfortunately, right in the middle of the ceremony, I got a kidney stone, and I had to go straight to the ER. It was the worst pain of my entire life. Altaview made sure that I was taken care of, hydrated with some IVs, CAT scan, everything. Thank you to Altaview. We're moving on. No more kidney stones ever again. Russ.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of piggyback and I saw Joe's, but college football being back and obviously this is a bit besides March Madness is the best time of the year. So, and a little depressed we don't have SEC college football in the SEC anymore. But just college football being back.
Joe?
Yeah, again, I agree. This is the best time of the year besides March Madness. You got baseball, you got football coming back. You'll get basketball in November-ish. You'll get hockey. What's there not to love? And again, like I said at the beginning of the show, what's there not to like about just coming on, talking with the boys about football? My only complaint is I had to go back to work.
And there you have it. Thank you all for joining us here. Touchdown in Paradise on the Fins Talk Sports Network. I'm Justin.
I'm Russ.
I'm Joe.
And we're only a few days away from kickoff. We'll see you next Wednesday. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.